Can you talk about the new kickoff rule? Does that change how you approach building the kickoff return team?
You know, it, the rule itself is just something we'll just have to get used to. It's like any other rule change. You know, you just make the adjustments and just keep moving forward. I'm gonna keep coaching the guys the same way. It's not gonna change. We're gonna coach up the fundamentals and the techniques. Schematics will be the same, and we'll just go from there. You know, you just make the adjustments to see what happens.
Did you have a voice in that process? I know a lot of special teams coaches didn't favor this change.
It is what it is. I mean, you know, it is what it is. I mean, it's a situation where you just got to deal with what you're dealt with. You know, so these are the cards they gave us. You just play them.
You think it increases safety?
What I think doesn't matter. You know, it is what it is. So if they think it's to increase safety, then that's what it is.
Did they say what the criteria is going to be? I understand it's for 1 year. They're going to test it out. Did they say what criteria they're going to use in order to determine whether to keep it permanently?
No, they didn't.
Does part of you think if they're going to do this and neuter the kickoff, the heck with it, just get rid of the kickoff and put the ball to 25?
I'll never say that because that's my livelihood.
Yeah.
You know, but
that's kind of what they're halfway doing now. So.
How much chatter has there been among? We hear a lot of people publicly, you know, stating their displeasure. How much chatter is there between special teams coaches in particular, that like fraternity that you guys have there?
Well, you know, no one wants to lose a part of what you're used to doing as a part of your job to go away. You want to be able to, you know, kind of coach the way you've been coaching and have the same kind of impact in the game that you want to have, you know. But again, you just make the adjustments and just keep moving.
You've been in this league obviously long enough. You've seen enough rule changes that have changed the way you've had to do things. Is this one of those things where, you know, it kind of puts that flag up that you say, wait a minute, we adjusted to other changes, but this is the kind of thing that could change things for good, the way we do things?
You know, again, the situation is what it is. You know, they make the rule changes. We might not agree with it, but that's just what it is. You know, and we'll govern ourselves accordingly. So we'll make the adjustments as a special teams fraternity and just, you know, try and keep it moving.
How much are you searching for angles maybe on how to work around it to your advantage?
You know, that's something we're always looking for angles as coaches, right? We're always trying to find competitive advantages, and, you know, we'll always try and find those. So we're looking at certain things that we could possibly do, and we'll see what happens.
One of your advantages with Graham is he's been able to do those kind of short kicks that like the guys have to catch at like the 2-yard line. Does this kind of make you rethink that? Is that less effective now?
Yeah, yeah, it is.
You talked about not wanting to take away, you know, obviously parts of your job. Do you, and I guess, I mean, you collectively, special teams coaches, I mean, do you feel a little bit like an endangered species right now?
You know, that's a really good question. That's a really good question.
What do you say to guys like, just to pick a couple names, like guys like Cam Brown and Carter Coughlin who have made careers on special teams? Like, I'm sure they have questions. So how do you explain to them where their value still lies on plays that they've been a huge part of?
It's tough. You know what I mean? Like it's tough. It's not an easy situation when you know. For the most part, you're going to get anywhere from 25 to 28 plays. And normally you get really 14 to 15 of those plays, maybe 18, and then half of those might go away. Naturally, you might think, okay, what is my value? You know, but that's just what it is.
T-Mac, there are always rules changes here and there. Mm-hmm. In your time as a special teams coach and coordinator, where does this rank in terms of a sea change or true change in roster construction and what you need to do now, you know, as a special teams coach, et cetera?
Well, the roster construction part of it, I don't have anything to do with. Okay. You know, all I can do is just, as a coach, just make the adjustment with the rule change. You know, the situation is what it is, and can't complain about it. can't moan about it. You just make the adjustment and you keep it moving. You know, as a coach, that's my job.
What is the biggest adjustment that y'all have to make?
It depends on what the other team does. Like always, you know, if they squib it on the ground, if you know, you just have to be able to make those kinds of adjustments. You know, got to have something built into your scheme to where you can, you know, you can adjust to it.
Is that one of those things where maybe it even becomes more calculated early in the season because you just don't know what your opponent is going to do, and you almost have to see things play out
Yeah.
before you make a determination?
Yeah, this is uncharted territory. I mean, this is something that we haven't seen before, you know, in our league. And, you know, it's always going to be something that's going to pop up within a new rule change that they didn't foresee, you know. So it's one of those deals where you got to play the games and see what happens.
How much do you anticipate the philosophy just being, hey, 99% of the time, just blast it out?
You know, it just depends on the coach and the organizational philosophies and how they view things. You know, some organizations might choose to do that. Some organizations may not. You know, so it just depends. It's from week to week, and whatever the head coach or whatever the organization's philosophy is on how they're going to approach that play.
Do you think we'll see more squib kicks?
I don't know. You know, I can't predict the future, but I know there are going to be some teams that'll be aggressive with it, I'm sure.
You've been a part of the accelerator program that they've put
Mhm.
together, and over the last couple of years, you know, you've been involved. We've talked to you about head coaching opportunities if they arise. Where do you feel that is right now? The efforts that the league says it's making versus someone who is going through that process has eyed it. What are your feelings on that as to where we are?
You know, I think the program is an excellent program. I think the exposure to ownership and to be able to develop relationships is paramount to the success of the league and to making sure that this program is successful. Because, you know, people are going to hire people they're comfortable with. So if I'm Coach A and they know Coach B, they feel more comfortable with Coach B, they're going to hire Coach B. And I think the relationships that are being built over time with the program and being able to put a name with a face, I think that's important. And then people doing their due diligence behind the scenes, both coaches and ownership, to learn more about the people that they're dealing with in the program. So I think it's moving in the right direction. Is it where we want to be exactly? No, but it's moving in that direction.
Why do you guys add a long snapper, and how do you plan to handle that competition?
You know, it's not so much of a competition. I think it's more of a good young player that we identified that can develop over time. And obviously Casey's a veteran guy. He's been around for a long time, you know. And to be able to save him and be able to develop a guy at the same time giving another guy some breaks, because he snaps a lot of balls. You know, Casey's a hard worker, and he's a great teammate and a great leader. But Cam Lyons is definitely a very talented young snapper.
How wide open is the punt return competition right now?
We're trying to find who's going to be the guy. You know, preseason's going to be important. You know, it's a long way away, but we got a ton of guys out there catching, and they're all working hard and, you know, doing what they're supposed to do.
Leeway in the spring, or is that something you have to kind of?
You got to play the game.
Game that it's going to come down to games.
You got to
That's
play
it.
the game. It looks cute out here in shorts, and you know.
Speaking of the punt return, you know, last year you cycled through a lot of gunners, you know, obviously because of the injuries and stuff like that. When you look at the talent you have so far, I know it's early, but is anybody really kind of jumping out at you? Are you going to do anything different with the deployment of the gunners, looking for consistency, or how do you plan to approach that?
Well, we want to have, you know, I always tell you guys, you know, you want continuity at a spot so you can create consistency. It's kind of hard to have that when you don't, when you're changing guys out every week. But you want to be able to develop players that can play those positions and then have them play those positions consistently. And, you know, as a punt return group, they're all just working hard. They're all out there catching balls and just working at it. So we got a bunch of options, and, you know, we'll see what happens.
And then just real quick, that lack of consistency you had last year, how much did that affect Jamie?
You know, it's holistic. It's not just Jamie. You know, when you look at where he was as a gunner, as a punter, and then where we were as a gunner group, I think it's more of a holistic part of being able to work together consistently and then create that continuity and to be able to feel comfortable with each other. And I think over time, that'll help us, but we got to be able to create some consistency for sure. It's going to help all of us, not just Jamie.